The Cleats landing in downtown St. Louis, where a big crowd is expected at the new Busch Stadium. Florida Marlins and the Cardinals wrapping up their season series tonight. Dontrelle Willis, one of the top young left-handers in the game of baseball, gets the start for the Marlins. And one of the best pitchers for the Cardinals in the second half has been Jeff Suppan. He'll go for St. Louis. Al Roboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. Welcome to the broadcast booth here at Busch Stadium. And when you take a look at what's happened with the Cardinals, not just this month, but the entire season, it has been up and down. And here we are just on the cusp of September, and yet the Cardinals are in first place.
Roller coaster. And you look at the month, July 31st, the Cardinals were in first place with a 3.5 game lead over the Reds. Now you turn around a month later, August 31st, the Cardinals still in first place, and they gained a game. And how'd they do it? I mean, they went through another 8-game losing streak. All these negative things happen, a lot of injuries, but yet they still find a way to win. And I think that's the reason why we are so confident about this team. Every time their back is up against the wall, they find a way to dig themselves out of the hole.
Well, if postseason play started today, Jeff Suppan certainly would be in the conversation for the Cardinals as maybe their number 2 starter, possibly a number 3. He has been good in the second half of the season. The Cardinals facing a lefty tonight, and they're 19-30 against left-handed pitching this season. It's Dontrelle Willis.
Well, they beat Dontrelle, last year's Major League leader, with 22 wins earlier in the season. But he's pitching much better of late, and yet he has struggled recently on the road. But he is one of the most excitable, one of the most, energetic pitchers that you can watch, and he really is fun to watch. Jeff Suppan is just the master. His last time out, he was brilliant as he kept everything on both sides of the plate, nothing down the middle, and he pitches very well here at the new Busch Stadium.
All right, it's Game 3 tonight here from the new Busch Stadium. It's the Florida Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals. Up and down season as a team. It's been up and down for the Cardinals closer as well. We'll break down the season for Izzy when we come back. Back at the new Busch Stadium, sold out a crowd again tonight as the Cardinals wrap up their season series with the Florida Marlins. Pitching on our minds here in segment 2 as we talk about the Cardinals closer, Jason Isringhausen. Up and down season this year as a team, obviously, but for Izzy, either the hero or the GOAT is the closer, and it's been up and down for Izzy this year, too.
Life of a closer. If you look at his last 3 appearances, a microcosm of the season. At the Mets, he loses that ball game, gives up the home run to walk-off variety. Then on Friday, he picks up his 31st save. 6th time he's gone over 30 saves. And then last night, he just finishes out a 13-6 victory. So the Cardinals are going to go as far as Izzy will take them. It's a role that he can mentally handle, and his teammates have confidence in him.
When we come back, Jim Hayes will join us. He'll tell us about the NL Central Division, where it stands today. Just about 1 month to go. Marlins and Cardinals coming up in just a bit. Jim Hayes back at Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals have a comfortable 4.5 game lead over the Cincinnati Reds in the NL Central. What's next for these two teams beyond tonight? The Cardinals home to Pittsburgh, then at Washington and at Arizona. The Reds, meantime, at San Diego, and then home to San Francisco and home to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Since drawing even with the Cards in the NL Central, the Reds have lost 6 in a row. Dan and Al rejoin you when we come back to Busch. Cardinal baseball is coming up. Joe Girardi of the Florida Marlins. Cardinals and the Marlins wrapping up their season series tonight. The Cardinals swept them in Florida earlier this season. The rubber match between these two teams on FSN as Jeff Suppan delivers the first pitch of the ball game to Hanley Ramirez. And it's hit out to left field. 1 pitch, 1 out. Good play by Sotoguchi. Look at the numbers for Jeff Suppan this season. And he was brilliant in his last start. That was Friday night here at Busch Stadium against the Chicago Cubs. A record of 10-7, 4.77 ERA. And his numbers brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. 1 pitch, 1 out, and a good jump here by Sotoguchi.
Yeah, the ball was rifled out there by Ramirez, an outstanding young rookie, and a nice catch by the veteran Sotoguchi.
76 degrees here in downtown St. Louis. Amezega, the center fielder, digs in. I think it's safe to say it has been a subpar season for Sotoguchi defensively. This year has just been a little bit unlike that we've seen in the past.
And I think you might even say the same offensively, but we're going to remember what he does this final month.
2 balls, no strikes on Amezenga, who has 250 at bats this season, and he's hitting .273. Marlins come in 2 games below the 500 mark at 65 and 67. And the Cardinals are 70 and 61 in first place of the Central Division by 4.5 games. Even if they don't get to postseason play, how can you not give the Manager of the Year award to that man, Joe Girardi?
Well, he's done an outstanding job. It took this team a while. They got up to a horrendous start, and they're 2 games under 500, but right in the thick of the wild card race. And Dan, after watching some of their pitching in this series, you know, they could be a handful if they get to postseason
and
play.
Arguably their best going tonight in Dontrell Willis. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Popped up left side and out of play. Marlins lineup, and they come in the National League 10th in average. Ramirez, Amezenga, and Ugla, who has had a terrific year. Willingham, Jacobs, Helms, Borchard, Trainer, and Willis. Wes Helms, 400 average his last 10 games. And another 3-2 pitch is hammered out to deep right field, and it's 1-0 Florida. A solo shot for Amezenga, his 3rd on the season, and he hammered at a 3-2 pitch, and it's 1-0.
Only his 3rd home run of the season. He's a switch hitter. Should say he's a left-handed hitter, non-existing hitter, 069 right-handed, but jumps on a pitch. Try to set up inside, and the ball up out over the plate a little bit, but the little guy just jumps all over it and gives his team a 1-0 lead. Once again, this Florida Marlins team, very resilient, and a lot of their scoring comes in the 1st and 2nd innings. 20th home run allowed by Suppan this year.
Speaking of home runs, here's Dan Ugla, 21 on the season. Second baseman that has just burst onto the scene for the Marlins this year. 79 RBIs and a .295 average.
Second most home runs by a rookie in Florida history. Preston Wilson has the high at 26. But Ugla, a Rule 5 selection from Arizona, and he could be your Rookie of the Year.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Everybody thought it was going to be Hermida that would be the Rookie of the Year in the National League.
And Hermida, who's not even in the lineup here tonight, probably the biggest disappointment of any Florida Marlin. Late start by Chris Duncan, but he won't even show up in those. And there's our new Cardinal,
Mike Rose.
Mike Rose, a switch hitter, 30 years of age. He's a catcher. So the injury to Bennett last night necessitated a roster move. There was going to be one anyway because the Cardinals needed to get a pitcher, and they put Mulder on the disabled list.
Popped up to the second baseman.
They needed to set their roster by eliminating one of the pitchers, get to 14 position players.
That's put away by Belliard. Look at the Cardinals defense behind Suppan tonight. Around the horn brought to you by Auto Tire. We saw Taguchi with his play in left. Encarnacion is in center, and Preston Wilson in right. Rowland and Miles on the left side of the infield. Belliard and Pujols on the right side. And Yadier Molina, nursing that sore elbow, is behind the plate. 6-2 for Suppan this year at home. Here's Josh Willingham. Another name that will be talked about for the National League Rookie of the Year, Ryan Zimmerman. We'll see him next week with the Washington Nationals, their third baseman, who's had a very good year. Willingham is hitting .273, 20 home runs and 62 RBIs.
You know, with Ramirez, who led off the game with that line drive, you know, he's done something. He scored over 100 runs and over 40 stolen bases. That's only happened a handful of times by a rookie, and yet he's the 3rd best rookie on the ball club.
Noticeable name not in this lineup for Florida tonight, and that's Miguel Cabrera. Hit by a pitch last night by Jason Marquis. It's sinking action on that pitch. It's 2-2.
Now remember that Suppan just has to change speeds. Look at that action. Just diving and running in on the right-hander.
Out to left again, and that's going to drop for a hit in front of Sho Taguchi. Another pitch that looked to be over the middle of the plate and up in the zone. Second hit tonight for the Marlins.
You're going to get inside, you got to get way in. And these guys, you know, there's a lot of people just think those inside pitches, especially if they catch some of the plate, it's just easy to pound that ball. Whether it's down, they could drop the bat head, but players are bigger and stronger, and they can muscle that ball very easily. Pitch inside that catches some of the plate.
Here's Mike Jacobs. For the Marlins, so many times you don't see teams deal within their division. Last couple of years they have dealt with the Mets, it seems like, exclusively, as Jacobs was part of the Carlos Delgado deal. Also got a right-handed pitcher and an infielder in that deal.
Some people might be surprised that they didn't at least get another outfielder, if not two. Have a platoon situation out in right field for Joe Girardi, and he's got a backup infielder playing center field. Of course, he's a home run hitter today.
Amazega. 0-2 the count on Mike Jacobs. .408 feet the measured distance of that home run to right field. Tony was saying a couple of nights ago it would take an emergency situation to get Molina to play. After the injury to Bennett, Yadier's got to play.
But yesterday, you know, I think 2 days ago, he got medical clearance to play, but usually you err on the side of caution. At least wait another day or so. Molina was ready, and it was an emergency when Bennett got hurt.
Remember when the Cubs were dealing with the Pirates last year in their division? It seemed like every Pirate wound up over in Chicago. Kenny Lofton, Ramirez, Randall Simon.
It's a couple years back, and nothing much in return.
Raise some eyebrows around baseball. 2-2. We're talking on the pregame show about Jeff Suppan. Al, if the playoffs started today, he's my guy going in game 2 behind Chris Carpenter. He has been the most effective of the starters behind Carpenter,
especially if it was here at the new Busch Stadium. He's 6-2 with an ERA just at 3 and 13 starts at the new Busch. 4-2 and a 2.72 ERA and 8 starts since the All-Star break.
He has won some big games of postseason play. 23 pitches here in the first. You think about the Roger Clemens game. He also pitched in the clinching game against Los Angeles a couple years ago. The Roger Clemens game was game 7 of the NLCS. Back-to-back 16-win seasons. 3-2 breaking ball hit out to left center. Taguchi calling for it and makes the catch. Marlins strand a runner, but they pick up one. Amazega with the home run, his third. And a familiar face, Preston Wilson, will lead it off when we come back against Dontrelle Willis. Dontrelle Willis, it's 1-0 Florida, so Tony La Russa just with his lineup tonight. Preston Wilson back in the leadoff spot, followed by Taguchi, Pujols, and Scott Rowland. 3 doubles as the Cardinals had 8 total, but 3 off the bat of Rowland last night. Encarnacion, Belliard, Miles, Molina, and Jeff Suppan. On the bench for the Cardinals this evening, Jose Vizcaino, Jim Edmonds, Chris Duncan, Scott Spezio, Gary Bennett, and the newest addition, Mike Rose. Dontrelle Willis, a 22-game winner a season ago, as he finished behind Chris Carpenter for the Cy Young. And it was Mr. Murphy. Jeff Murphy, the bullpen catcher, works with Yadier Molina all the time before games. Brought out the lineup card tonight. We had a shot of him inside the Cardinal dugout. I was wondering, what's Murph doing down there?
There he
He's
is.
in the dugout, not in the bullpen.
Oh, maybe he knows something about Suppan's lengthy start tonight.
Like you're thinking. Leadoff hit for Preston Wilson. I was saying on the pregame, Al, that Wilson, gives you a little versatility in this lineup. The fact that you're seeing it tonight, leadoff spot also can drop down in the lineup, but he gives you a little bit of element of speed at the top of the lineup as well. In a right-handed lineup against Dontrelle Willis, our Rico starter, trying to get back to 500 this season. He is 9-10. The Cardinals roughed him up earlier this year.
I was at home, and right now he's on a losing streak of 3 straight road games and 4 of the last 5. A lot of people felt that early in the season he was trying to throw too hard. When you throw too hard, you take all the movement off your pitches and it becomes very straight. Remember, this is the horrendous start to the season, the way he played and pitched in the World Baseball Classic, going 0 for 2 and had a 12-point ERA, almost 13 ERA in 2 starts.
If the Marlins would move from South Florida, and so many teams, including the Cardinals, were asking about his availability, the Marlins got to have a couple of players to market around if they go to a different city, and you got to figure that Dontrelle Willis would be one of them.
Dontrelle and Cabrera.
Yep.
But now, I mean, they got the 3 rookies. That third time in history that you've had 3 rookies win at least 10 games, and Johnson's got 12, and then Olsen and Noleski got 11 each.
2-1 pitch to Sho Taguchi. Ground ball left side. It's taken by Wes Helms, and they get Taguchi by a step, and Preston Wilson advances to a scoring position, and it brings in Pujols. Marlins defense around the horn, brought to you by Auto Tire. Willingham, Amazega, and Orchard in the outfield. Helms, Ramirez, Ugla, Jacobs along the infield, and behind the plate it's Matt Trainer. 1-2 is Dontrelle Willis in his starts in his career against St. Louis. It's the California High School Player of the Year in 2000. And you might forget that Dontrelle Willis was actually in the Cubs organization. And then he was traded from Chicago with Julian Tavares and Ryan Jorgensen in exchange for Antonio Alfonseca and Matt Clement. That was back in 2002.
Don't remind the Cubs. They had last night's starter. They had this tonight's starter. They gave up 3 talented young pitchers that are on this roster for the Marlins for Juan Pierre.
Pujols hits it to Helms. 2 outs. Before I forget, I want to say congratulations to our buddy from KMOX Radio, Tom Ackerman. He and his wife Angie, proud parents of Erica Christine Ackerman, born on August 21st. They're great people, and it's good to see that happen. Congratulations.
I wish you would have said that earlier, because I talked to him for about 20 minutes today.
He didn't say anything, did he?
Yeah, he didn't say anything.
Well, now you know.
Now I know, so now I feel dumb.
The rest of Cardinal Nation. Oh,
quite normal.
Al. Don't say that. Wilson at third. Here is Scott Rowland. Just one shy of 20 home runs, but boy, he is piling up the doubles this season.
Second time he had a 2-bag night. He had that last night. He's 7 doubles shy of his career high of 49.
How does this guy pitch with this motion?
Well, let me tell you something. The first time I saw him, and he was about 7-0 a couple years back, I said, now I understand. He's an old-fashioned, herky-jerky left-hander, hides the ball, and so it's not that it's so much the velocity, it's that you don't pick up the release point, and it jumps up on top of you a lot quicker than you would believe. I mean, everybody used to try to be deceptive. Now they try to teach you a nice fluid motion where the hitter just sees your release point.
How does that affect his move with the runner at first?
Well, he's got a slide step, so I mean, he's from this situation, he's going to be a little longer, and he's much, he's deceptive and everything, but he's not really concerned about the guy trying to come home. So he'll have the much higher leg kick instead of the slide step. He's fun to watch, isn't he?
He is.
And he's a great personality in his own right.
It's good for baseball. He does a lot of things in the community in South Florida, in particular with inner city groups and trying to get kids interested in the game of baseball. Says his mom is his biggest influence.
So that last pitch was 93 miles an hour. There's his career numbers, but they say when he's like around 93, 94, it doesn't work for him. His ball straightens out and it actually hurts him. When he drops down a little bit in velocity, he gets much more movement. He's got a very good changeup. He's got the 2 and 4 seamer and a breaking ball.
Roland lifts this out to shallow right field. The Cardinals are through here in the first, put away by Porcher. They strand a runner. It's 1-0 Florida after 1 inning of play at Busch Stadium. Second inning rolls in. The Marlins lead it 1-0 with a solo home run by Amezaga, the second batter that we saw in this game. Wes Helms looks at a breaking ball to start the second. And that's strike one. Helms signed as a free agent during the offseason. Another curveball misses up and in. He's been with Atlanta. And last season he was with Milwaukee and hit .298. Played 98 games for Milwaukee a season ago.
He's been a good player for these guys, whether it's coming off the bench or now substituting for Cabrera, who is listed day-to-day with that elbow contusion. Played first base the first game of the series.
Good pitch on the outside corner. First strikeout of the night for Jeff Suppan. What is the most exciting play in baseball? Our singular wireless question. Grand slam, inside the park home run, suicide squeeze, bases loaded triple, other. 42957 to text your vote. Singular wireless. Mike Helling in our truck says he enjoys the check swing the most. And he got it.
Saw one.
He got it.
Let's see about 6 replays of it.
Every once in a while,
good baseball.
Al, you just have that magic in television where everything comes together.
Yeah, that's such a dramatic, pitch.
I can't believe we haven't seen the replay.
Well, I mean,
we can't get the replay. What's going on here?
The director won't cooperate.
It's the most exciting play in baseball, he tells us. We don't get the replay of the check swing.
You know what it is, don't you? The director, Tom Mee, is very upset because Mike Helling made one prediction in all the years we've worked with him, and he was correct. And Tom Mee's made 1,000 predictions and has been wrong every time.
Here's a ground ball hit to the shortstop, backhanded by Miles, and he makes the play. If people could hear what's going on in our ears, it'd be worth the price of admission. I mean, they would love to hear what's happening in our ears half the time. From Mike Helling to Tom Mee.
It's a family program.
Well, that's a good point, Al. So if you could hear maybe 10% of what we hear, I think you'd get a kick out of it.
The edited 10%?
That's right. Here's Matt Trainer, their catcher. And a fastball from Suppan as a strike at the knees. Still waiting for the check swing replay.
Maybe to break.
Suppan goes back to the outside corner, doesn't get the call. We saw an exciting play Sunday night off the bat of Scott Rowland. It's a single and a misplay, and then he goes all the way around and scores.
I'm saying the singular question. If you incorporated a couple of those, like the inside the park home run with the bases loaded, I never would have thought of check swing.
That's why we always have that other option. And Mike Helling has used it tonight. And we'll see if his vote is counted up. Gets him to reach. Backhanded play, Belliard. 1-2-3 inning for Suppan. The Cardinals have Encarnacion, Belliard, and Miles coming up. Dontrell Willis back to work, bottom of the second. The former Marlin, Juan Encarnacion, will dig in, playing center field again tonight. Well, Dontrell is on the mound, so Jim Edmonds would not have started anyway, but the obvious concern now, how many games he has missed and the lingering effects of his concussion.
And I got an email from a gentleman I met last fall from California, and he is doing a documentary on concussion syndrome. So he had interviewed Johnny Damon last week.
Damon had a horrific collision in Oakland.
Then he had Matt Hasselbeck, but he was talking about Jim, and he said, basically, I'd like to talk to him, but more importantly, I want to tell him, you know, it's like his son had this ailment. He said he knew 3 people that have committed suicide as a byproduct of it, and he said, if Jim wants to talk to me, here's my number. I know a little bit about it, but I'd like to get his thoughts on it. But he said, I'm concerned about Jim and keep an eye on him. So I'm his personal watchdog. But I mean, that's stuff that we've never heard before either.
Well, not in baseball for sure.
I mean, these were not athletes, the people that committed suicide, but it's a much more serious, and
you'd hear about it in, you know, collision type sports, football, hockey,
right?
But certainly not in baseball. You watched his at-bats on Friday night. He didn't look right at all. Struck out 4 times in that game. Then he struck out another time over the weekend. And some growing concern there with Jim Edmonds.
It's been to several specialists, and I was talking to Dr. Loomis yesterday a little bit about it.
1-2 pitch to Belliard. How about the defense Belliard has been playing for the Cardinals? That was another good play to end the top of this inning.
You're absolutely right. He really has solidified second base. Not that Miles wasn't doing a good job, and he's doing a good job at shortstop, but he has shown terrific range and a strong arm.
You look at his body and you just wouldn't think that.
He's reached base in 14 of the last 15 games, and he's hit in 11 of the last 14 at 327. So, I mean, he's doing everything that the Cardinals had hoped for when they acquired him from Cleveland for Luna.
That's a called third strike. First strikeout for Dontrell Willis, and there's 2 away. Cardinal fans, it's back and it's a first. The inaugural Cardinals campout in the new Busch Stadium, presented by Bass Pro Shops. Limited number of Cardinal fans will have the opportunity to spend the night on the field September 8th. And I believe that's next Friday. We'll be in Arizona, and the cost is $175 for adults ages 16 and over, $75 for children 15 and under. Kids ages 3 and under are free, and the proceeds benefit Camp Coca-Cola, and again, that's put on by Bass Pro Shops.
Not only the fun things they get to do here, but our telecast will be broadcast on the Jumbotron.
Right.
Good way to get nightmares.
Good way to go to sleep. We'll put you to sleep Friday night. Come on down.
The Cardinal team will be raking that night.
Big dog to our left is cracking up.
He's sleeping already.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to Miles. You touched on it. I mean, Aaron Miles has made all the plays. It's short. He's not going to dazzle you, but certainly hasn't disappointed, filling in for David Eckstein. And I saw David before the game had a bat in his hands. He was going to just take some dry swings, nothing too strenuous.
But that's a very positive sign.
Sure
that he's
is.
starting to do a little baseball activity. Still, you know, he's not on the immediate return, but you know, he doesn't feel like he's forced back in because Miles has played so well.
Aaron Miles out to center field. Amazenga is there. Cardinals go 1-2-3. We're through 2, and Florida leads it by a run. Saturday on FSN Midwest, rematch with Louisiana Tech and Nebraska. They're 22nd ranked, and that was a game back in '98 where Tim Rattay, you know that name from the National Football League, and also Troy Edwards, they connected for 405 yards, which was an NCAA record. So that could be a fun game to watch, Louisiana Tech and Nebraska. And the college football season gets underway tonight. And the Rams are playing the Dolphins. So we've got baseball going head-to-head with South Florida, and always those highly contested preseason matchups as well. Willis, a swing and a miss, blocked by Molina, and that's strikeout number 2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals, LLC, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals, LLC.
And Hanley Ramirez is, as I said, probably the 3rd best rookie on this team. But in other years, he would be a real legitimate candidate for the National League Rookie of the Year.
You can make an argument they're going to have the Rookie of the Year, the Manager of the Year, and possibly the MVP.
Well, you could also have Cy Young.
Yeah. Didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Josh Johnson, has 12 wins. He leads the National League in ERA. But this kid's the first Marlins. There you see Cabrera, who nobody really talks about him as an MVP candidate, but his numbers are good enough if they get into postseason play.
On base percentage leads the league. He's going to finish in the top 10 in hitting, top 10 in home runs and RBIs.
He's only 23 now, isn't he?
23. Just an awesome talent. Here's a 1-1 pitch. They picked up Hanley Ramirez from Boston. That was the Josh Beckett deal. Mike Lowell as well. Guillermo Mota. And they picked up Harvey Garcia, Hanley Ramirez, Anibal Sanchez, and Jesus Delgado.
Well, as I said, 101 runs, 42 stolen bases. 8th rookie to ever do that. Have 100 runs, and he's got 12 home runs. He set a record, Marlins record, as a rookie with 9 triples. The last rookie with more, he's got 9 triples, the most in the majors for a rookie since 2001 when Jimmy Rollins had 12. The last rookie with more than 12 rookies in a season was Ray Lankford, who had 15 back in 1991.
Those triples. Here's a 2-2 pitch in the dirt. I asked you a couple weeks ago, what's Ray Lankford up to these days?
Living in Orlando, and he was kind enough. He had his first experience with the Legends Camp last year, and I think he enjoyed the experience because he's agreed to come back again this year.
Good. 3-2 on Ramirez.
It was Busch Stadium's all-time home run league, the old Busch Stadium 2.
And a walk to the leadoff man, Ramirez. He's got good speed. 1-out walk, and that's where we stand here in the 3rd. 1-0 Florida, and it brings in Alfredo Amazega, who homered his first time up. First walk issued by Suppan. A couple of strikeouts for Sup, and it's worth mentioning that he pledges $50 for every strikeout this season to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund, and that's matched by Cardinals Care. So very, very good fund to donate that money to.
And the 2nd year he's done that. He met some people representing that outstanding organization a couple years ago. And they're really close to, they're going to have their grand opening of their new building, where they have a state-of-the-art medical facility for the men and women of the armed forces that come back and are injured, and rehabilitate them and do everything they can to get them back into society and conduct as normal a life as possible.
1-out runner at first. Marlins are 2.5 games out in the wild card. A jumbled bunch, the wild card. San Diego leads it by a half game over the Phillies. Cincinnati now a game and a half back, and the Reds are really struggling. They have lost 6 straight. They're 4.5 out in the Central. When the Cardinals left New York, we said this would be make or break for their season. I mean, this homestand right now, 9 games. You look at what Cincinnati had to go through. Long trip on the West Coast, and they have not answered the bell. 6 straight losses.
I remember that first game of this 9-game homestand. Our singular wireless question was, how many wins will the Cardinals have? The answer was 6, and that's not acceptable now that they've won, what, 4 out of the 5? You want a lot more than that.
Yeah, sweep over the Cubs and then the split of the first 2. Florida 2.5 out, and then Houston 3. They've come alive again. San Francisco 3 back. Arizona and Atlanta 4 games out.
Cardinals have 7 games remaining with the Marlins, Milwaukee and Houston.
Pitch out, they guess right, throw down to second. Goodbye. Ramirez gunned down by Molina.
I give Tony some credit. All the defensive signals, he guessed right, like he detected the sign. And Molina just gets the casual throw.
What a pick-me-up
out there. Yeah,
that must be for a pitcher too.
Oh, sure. You know, a pitcher can't telegraph it. You know, he can't go out there and change and alter his motions too dramatically to telegraph it to a base stealer.
I mean, essentially, Al, you're giving up a pitch to the hitter, and if you guess wrong, you know, all of a sudden you're behind, depending on the count. But if you guess right, it pays off big time.
Yep.
Soup on a conversation with Gary Cederstrom, home plate umpire tonight. Tim Welke is at first, Jim Reynolds at second, Kerwin Danley over at third. Count even 2-2. Slowly hit to the shortstop Miles, and he can't come up with it.
Speed was a factor in there, and he tried to rush everything before he really looked the ball or secured it in his glove. And that was a byproduct of the foot speed of the hitter.
Air charge to Miles, and it brings in Dan Uggla. Uggla with the longest home run thus far at the new Busch Stadium. In game 1, he put it into Big Mac land.
You know, you and I touched on the first game of the series, Joe and I last night, about the Marlins and their ability to scout. And you know, when they do have a fire sale, those play at first, you know, they have done an unbelievable job of scouting everyone else's minor league system and bringing outstanding talent here. But if you think about, you know, Derek Lee, Sheffield, you could go on and on about, you know, Kevin Brown, guys like that they Renteria they're through, but the guys they've developed, guys that they've picked up.
Juan Pierre, Luis Castillo.
Yeah. Juan Hernandez, you know, was, you know, a Cuban defector, but Uggla was a Rule 5 selection from Arizona. Cabrera is one of those homegrown type guys, but they have done an unbelievable job developing, and then when they decide to remake their team, going out and raiding everybody else's farm system.
Safe to say is this one is hit back to Jeff Suppan. We'll talk about the Marlins, what they've done with their fan base when we come back. Bottom of the third, 8-9, and the leadoff man for the Cardinals, trailing 1-0. Yadier Molina. We were talking about the concussion that Edmonds has gone through, and you know, another one that comes to mind obviously in St. Louis is Mike Matheny, who calls St. Louis still home, and he is back in St. Louis. He has lost weight from this post-concussion syndrome, and big question mark as to whether or not he will come back and play again in the major leagues. And our thoughts are with Mike. One of the great guys in our community. Cardinal Baseball on FSM Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. Kia, the power to surprise. By the new Taco Bell Nacho Crunch Grilled Stuffed Burrito. And by Rico. Move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. One of the things you think about, I'm sure the gentleman that you spoke with is talked about it with these athletes, is the kind of headgear that you wear. And Mike Matheny wore that hockey style mask.
You're good, because I've been questioning that. The other day I sat down in the green seats and Bennett was catching. He has the old style mask. I went, there's good 3 to 4 inches of padding all around that mask. And then you look at the hockey style. I think it's designed to deflect foul balls, but maybe there's something to it. So does Trainer have the old style mask on? It looks like
he does.
So maybe we can get a side view and see that the padding there, and then look at the umpire's hockey style mask and you see the difference. There you see the hockey style. It doesn't look like a lot of protection there. Now you see 3 or 4 inches there. I mean, I'm sure they did tests to make sure that it is worthy, but Damian Miller, another catcher, just came back from concussion syndrome.
You can see near the forehead area of the hockey style mask there is padding. It's just not as noticeable.
Right.
You know how deep it is as compared to what Trainer is wearing here tonight. But there's got to be something to that as well, I would think. You can see the yellow padding underneath the black.
You can see it up in
helmet.
there.
Right.
But the old-fashioned mask is just that solid protection all the way around.
Suppan grounds it to third. Wes Helms there, and there's out number 2.
But we go once again. We go. These athletes are bigger, stronger. The ball's harder. The bats have been, are in many ways, the harder wood, the maple wood or something like this. Maybe it comes off those bats a little quicker. But you never heard about catchers getting concussion unless they, was in a home plate collision.
The one thing I guess you have to consider is, 20 years ago, maybe guys were just playing through concussions. Maybe they had the symptoms and just didn't know what to call it.
And that's very true too. Talked to my shoulder surgeon, Mark Miller, yesterday, and we were talking about shoulder injuries.
Talking to a lot of doctors.
Oh, I'm always. They're always asking
personnel.
me. They're always asking me for advice, But we were talking about 20, 30 years ago, before Tommy John surgery was, it was discovered, or somebody thought about trying to do it. Rotator cuffs, all these different things. Either you pitched through it or you went home. You didn't have an investment in a pitcher or a player, so you didn't give them the time, or there was no medical procedure to repair injuries.
Preston Wilson with a base hit, his second on the night, 2 for 2.
So I mean, it's just, you said there were the same amount of injuries there are today. It's just people went away.
I remember Red Shandy's having a conversation with him, and he said, there were times where I felt like my arm was going to fall off. He said, but I could take myself out of the lineup. That's fine. He said, then I don't have a job. Yeah. My career might be over.
Well, there's
guys ready to take my job.
2 ways of thinking about it, and I'm not trying to say there's a right or wrong way, but as Red said, or even in my era, you had to play this year to get a contract for next year. So you learn to either compensate for an injury, go from a power pitcher to a finesse guy, or you just put a load of Capsulin on it, and you took whatever over-the-counter measures you could get and just went out there and learned to play with pain. And, as myself, you said the fun part about competing was the games that you didn't feel 100%, which you never do after you start working out. But you found that you could play, with less physical abilities because mentally you overcame it. Now today, there's so much money available, and it's a double-edged sword. A player is reluctant to push himself if he feels not 100%, or in that close enough connotation, but an organization's not going to put you out there either because they've got an investment in you.
Real fine line, especially when you get guys they're in their walk year and how they approach that. I mean, Mulder's situation obviously comes to mind.
Well, he did the right thing, and he did the best for the team by being honest and saying, hey, it's not right.
Here's a 2-1 pitch.
And you can never accuse somebody of saying, well, he's got a low pain tolerance or he won't play with pain. And you can't do that because, you know, nobody can see what's inside a guy's heart and head. You just have to hope they're honest with you and with themselves.
Pujols waiting on deck. Count of 3 balls, 1 strike. And Albert's going to come up with runners on. A base hit for Sotaguchi. Back-to-back hits, and here comes Albert. Boy, it was good to see Pujols pick up that home run last night, number 39, as he is sitting on 39 homers, 109 driven in. And that wound up being the difference in the game as the Cardinals came back.
He's always working here, not out on the field, but in the cage, just trying to lift that front foot up and put it right back down, put the heel down instead of striding out there. The home run last night ended a 27 at bat extra base hit drought. His first home run in 27, but I mean, he just, that elbow was bothering him. But you know, Albert, he's going to play with it. He's going to play through it.
Willis challenged him, and strike 1 on Pujols.
Like I said, Dontrell will have the 4-seam fastball, the righting fastball he will throw in. The 2-seam fastball, you know, he'll keep that ball down. That's the one he gets so many ground balls to third, like Albert did the first time up.
Here comes an 0-1 pitch. Willis to Albert Pujols.
Have a 4-seamer, challenge him here.
You can see a guy like Dontrell Willis. I mean, you just see it. I mean, look at how he handles himself with the body language. He loves a confrontation like this against one of the game's best in Albert Pujols, and that cannot be said for a lot of players in the game.
No, but the good ones, you know, they rise to the challenge. And a guy like Pujols is always up for a challenge.
There's the 0-2, and Albert pops it up. Foul territory will get out of play. Nope, there is a play. Jacobs has it, and Pujols pops out and throws his bat and throws his helmet. Marlins and Cardinals in Game 3 tonight. The difference, a solo home run that was in the first. 1-0 Florida. 4th inning coming up. Now is the best time. Josh Willingham with a leadoff hit on the first pitch from Jeff Suppan. And a base hit to right, so the leadoff man is on for the Marlins.
Good piece of hitting going that pitch down and away, going at the opposite field.
We're talking about how the Marlins have rebuilt their franchise again with a guy like Mike Jacobs and some of the others that they have picked up. And Jacobs tonight is 0 for 1 with a fly out to left. They have drawn a total of 875,000 fans this year. That's it. I mean, it's not the prototypical way you want to keep your franchise going. As fans are just going to sit there and say, you know, if there's a fire sale going on, why should I support that?
Well, you know, and I think that this young team has shocked not only South Florida, but has shocked all the baseball world that they have come together so quickly and really have been one of the best feel-good stories of baseball this year. But you know, a lot of people just sit there and they go, by the time we get excited about one set of guys, they're sent packing, you know, whether it's a fire sale after a world championship or whatever the reason. They can't get that new stadium, and you really seriously have to look now about going to another city.
Many feel that Major League Baseball will seriously look at Las Vegas.
Why not?
I mean, gambling is everywhere now. You can do it online, you can do it anywhere. And I know that's their biggest concern when you move to Vegas, but You talk about money and the kind of money that these owners would make. I mean, it's significant.
We got
if you move
casinos
to
here,
Vegas.
we allow casinos to advertise, and thankfully so.
2-2.
Queen's Party Porch up there, right at the Blackjack Bar right next to our studios, Hiwatech Studios out in left field. It's part of the game now. Not betting, but the advertising.
3 strikeouts for Suppan. First out here in the top of the 4th.
We have so many young players. A changeup is an outstanding pitch. They're geared for the fastball. But if you can execute your pitches in and out and change speeds, you got a pretty good chance that you're going to neutralize or get these hitters off balance.
Remember Pedro Martinez a couple of years ago? We were in Boston. He was still with the Red Sox, and he was coming back from a significant injury, facing the Cardinals in his first start. And he was asked about his philosophy pitching, and he said, look, and he has some of the filthiest stuff in the game. He said a good changeup is still, in my mind, the best pitch in baseball if you can throw it at any time in the count, if you can locate.
Well,
he's got one of the best.
He's got one of the best, but the best pitch in baseball is a well-located fastball because it sets up the off-speed pitches.
Marlins again running, trying to be aggressive here on Yadier Molina. Maybe it's an indication of being aggressive against Suppan.
It is. Jeff Suppan, and Molina throws out 40% of runners, but Jeff Suppan coming in had only stopped 1 base stealer in 8 attempts. Now they made that 2 out of 9 tonight as they pitched out and got Ramirez attempting to steal, but Jeff's not quick to the plate.
1 ball, 1 strike. Liner out to right. It's going to drop in front of Preston Wilson. Willingham has to stop at second base. Runners at first and second for Joe Orchard. Cardinal fans, the pennant race is heating up, and stay on top of all the action with mobile alerts from STLCardinals.com. Get in-game scores and league changes, injury updates, plus club and league news. Simple, using your mobile phone. Text keyword Cardinals to 65246 or visit STLCardinals.com to sign up today. Base hit for Helms. Orchard, first time up, grounded out to short. Soup could use a double play here with 1 out in the 4th. Backhanded by Albert. Can they get 2? Runner went hard into Miles. It was Helms. 3-6 on the play.
Not your typical double play ball, and as Albert lays back on it, plays to the side, but look at that throw. Kind of from a crouch. There you see Miles. He does a nice job here by not releasing the ball after he gets hooked by the lead runner. A lot of times that guy will try to go ahead and execute the throw and then throw it away.
Sometimes you'll see that shortstop actually throw behind the runner at third.
Right. Realizing they has no play at first, and they'll try and get the lead runner rounding the third base bag.
Curveball in the dirt, blocked by Molina. Ball 1 to Matt Trainer, the catcher. Trainer grounded to Belliard on a backhanded play, his first time up. Trainer's hitting .217. San Francisco has jumped out to a 6-1 lead on Atlanta. Milwaukee leads Houston early on. It's 2-1. That's in Colorado, just underway. The Phillies lead Washington 4-2. That's in the 7th.
Cincinnati idle tonight. They open up the series tomorrow with San Diego.
We have been on that trip. It's not an easy one on the West Coast, that many cities, and all those teams have a chance to get into postseason play late in the season. That's not an easy trip. Yankees already won today. They beat Detroit 6-4. Tampa Bay beat the White Sox 5-3.
Minnesota won.
Minnesota over those pesky Royals 3-1. A-Rod was right. He was emphatic when he said you will not see the wild card come out of the American League East. And people thought he was crazy. They thought for sure it's got to be the Yankees and the Red Sox, and the Red Sox have fallen apart, and the wild card is going to come from the American League Central.
I think what he was thinking too, that there was so much parity that the top teams would knock each other off. A lot of people thought Toronto was a real solid team, go along with Boston and the Yankees. They would kind of knock each other off, and then they had some weak teams in the American League Central, so they would, you know, they'd have a high win total, but because they keep on beating up on the low division teams.
Comes a 3-1 pitch. A walk is not the worst thing here because you have Dontrelle Willis coming up, but Willis can handle the bat a little bit, despite the fact he's only hitting 102 this season. He has shown in the past he will take a healthy cut and not get cheated. So you might think about slipping one by him, and then all of a sudden, bam.
He has a home run this year.
Second walk issued by Suppan. The base is loaded. Dontrelle struck out his first time up.
He also has 6 RBIs. More RBIs than hits.
Out in front of the first pitch, a swing and a miss.
Big gap out in left center, and I think you're talking about, you know, because he swings so hard that he'll pull off of pitches and pull them. And if he hits it off the end of the bat, it's usually going to be in the infield.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Jeff's allowed 4 hits. He's walked 2. Joe Girardi done an outstanding job here. Tony La Russa, veteran against the Rook.
Joe Girardi, familiar obviously with Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan. Spent a year with the Cardinals.
2003.
2003. A lot of meetings, that means, for Joe Girardi, catcher.
Just had that back problem when he was here. Got very little playing time, so that seems like it was a lot longer than that.
1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Strikeout number 4 for Suppan tonight. And it's 1-0 Marlins midway through the 4th. We're back where the Marlins lead it 1-0. Bottom of the 4th, the Aflac trivia question tonight.
Aflac!
We're the only 2 players in Major League history to hit a grand slam in their first at bat. We saw one of those a year ago. That's our Aflac trivia question. Etta Janis turned 70, and her favorite player is the man at the plate, Scott Rowland. Happy birthday to Etta. She is from DeSoto, huge Cardinal fan and a big fan of this man, Scott Rowland. So happy birthday to Etta Janis. Cardinals 13 runs yesterday, which came on a season high 20 hits. And it tied the Cardinals season best output of runs, the most runs at home this summer. Scott Rowland out to center. Well hit, but that's going to be caught. Let's take a look at the Aflac trivia question again concerning grand slams. We're the only 2 players in the history of baseball to hit a grand slam in their first AB. Bermuda last year, and of course everybody knows Bill Duggleby back in 1898. Hermida did that against the Cardinals.
Against the Cardinals in the first pitch he saw in the big leagues as a pinch hitter. And it reminds me of when our buddy Mike Shannon went Don Mattingly went one year. It was tied this year, but one year set a major league record with hitting 6 grand slams in one season. And Mike was telling the radio audience that when he hit the 6th one, he just said, just think about it, folks, each and every one of them came with the bases loaded.
That's what makes Mike Shannon Mike Shannon.
Mike Shannon.
Here's a 1-1 pitch.
He was right.
He definitely was that. Mike Shannon working on the radio side with John Rudy.
Is that Boyer?
Looked like the top of a 4-14 for Boyer. Juan with a base hit up the middle. So it was a year ago tonight as we flash back. Hermida, August 31st of 2005, making his major league debut. First pitch he saw from Al Reyes, a home run into the seats. A grand slam. Baseball history, and the Cardinals would win that game 10-5. Seeing that highlight, you yearn for a guy like Al Reyes. So I'd love to see him back in the Cardinal bullpen this year.
Yeah. Al Reyes, the Cardinals wanted to re-sign him. You know, everybody knew that he would be out the entire season, but really looking to next year where he'd be able to pitch. But he signed with Tampa Bay because he's from that area and just felt it would be a lot easier for him to rehabilitate in his hometown rather than coming to St. Louis and missing the entire year, rehabilitate, and knowing he couldn't play.
Encarnacion, the runner at first. Belliard shoots one foul. Cardinals had interest in David Wells, who has been traded to San Diego for a player to be named later. And the Padres also have signed Rudy Cianes, hard thrower for their bullpen. So David Wells gets there in time for Cincinnati.
Well, you know, he played with Padres before, and his home is there, and so it made perfect sense. Fearing that he might get traded to the Cardinals, you know, he stated that he would not go to the Cardinals, and if he was traded to the Cardinals, he'd retire, contemplate retiring. So that kind of just guaranteed it. But I don't know if the Cardinals had any kind of deal that they could, you know, match up that would make sense for the Cardinals with that Boston would want. You know, they wanted Duncan or Wainwright. You know, you don't give that up for a 43-year-old for 1 month.
2-2 pitch to Belliard.
And then they eventually settled on a young, talented outfielder that's an A-ball player, but Roy Rasmus. And, you know, right now with the depletion of the Cardinals minor league system, you better keep all those prospects you can keep.
See if they want to start the runner here. Encarnacion on a 3-2 pitch. Dontrell is thinking the same thing. Well, Ronnie Belliard in his first 11 games with the Cardinals went 7 for 40, a 175 average, 9 strikeouts. In his last 14 games, he's hitting close to 330 with only 7 strikeouts. There goes the runner, and the pitch is hit to the third baseman. Helms makes a nice play. Encarnacion, heads up play, winds up at third.
That was a nice play by Encarnacion, as a very good play by the third baseman. See, he's running on the pitch, so that explains it. He stops her, kind of hesitates, saw that the throw was going to be across the diamond, and then races across. Willis trying to tell Jacobs, but decided not to throw.
Dontrell now with 2 outs. The batter is Miles. A play like that, you take the extra bag, you never know what might happen. Wild pitch, pass ball.
Well, Dontrell has thrown 6 wild pitches this season.
You read my mind.
Yeah, and always a possibility of a pass ball. Many more ways to score from third base than second.
Fastball and a strike at the knees to Aaron Miles. Miles first time up, fly to center. Marlins run came in the first with a solo home run by Amazega. All kinds of room into right center field for Miles if he can shoot one there. Out to right field, and it drops for a base hit, and this game is tied. Aaron Miles a 2-out RBI, and it's 1-1.
Aaron is hitting .290 against left-handed pitching. Has come down from earlier in the season, but he's hit .333 on this homestand. So more playing time, more contribution, and a big 2-out base hit by Aaron Miles.
And now you got to wonder if Encarnacion doesn't take the bag at third. If it's fielded cleanly and right, does he score?
Oh, I probably, knowing Okindari, would have sent him, but with any kind of good throw, he would have been thrown out the plate. So rather praise both of them. Encarnacion by getting the extra base, and then Miles for driving him in.
First pitch, a strike to Molina. The Pirates will be in town tomorrow night. We'll come your way with the pregame show at 6:30. They just swept the Cubs. Yadier Molina out to center field. Amazega back near the track and makes the catch. Cardinals will strand their 4th runner tonight, and they pick up their first run off the bat of Miles. Number 12 comes through, and it's 1-1. 1-1 game, Florida and the Cardinals. Hanley Ramirez will lead it off against Jeff Suppan. Cardinals tied up on a 2-out base hit by Miles. Ramirez looks at a strike, and we're underway here at the new Busch Stadium in the 5th. After last night's start, Jason Marquis' ERA rose to 5.86. In June, it was near 9. July, 5.26. In August, 6.75. But it adds up to a 14-12 record. The bottom line is winning games.
14 games.
He had lost 5 of his previous 6 starts. Needed 95 pitches to get 12 outs from the Marlins. Took him 31 to get through the 4th.
Yeah, he should end up with a career high in wins this year.
This is popped up to the shortstop, Miles. 1 away.
Jeff has made some good pitches. He just, I think, not took a relatively weak hitter for granted, but just try to get a strike into this guy, and and he reminds you that he's a major leaguer.
Amazega has a solo home run back in the 1st. His 3rd on the year, and reached on an error by Miles, but no damage done back in the 3rd. A little low at the knees. '26 start of the season tonight for Jeff Suppan. He will go over the 150 inning mark tonight. 76 pitches thus far, and his toughest inning was the 1st. He had 24. Here comes a 2-0 pitch. Make it 3-0. Suppan has walked 2. Walked Ramirez back in the 3rd, and he walked Matt Trainer last inning. So what's your gut feeling? Does Joe Girardi return to Miami next year?
Yes.
First year of a 3-year contract.
The reason I say that is because, here's an outstanding young manager with a very, very talented young team. He'd want to stay there. I mean,
Want to see it through.
well, I mean, go stay there and get your good training, build that resume. He's always going to be in demand, but the Chicago Cubs are in flux. They've got a lot of tough decisions to make. You go there and the pressure to win right away. He can sit there and enjoy this talented young team and see it develop and see how far they can go. But by the other token is, who's the Marlins going to get to replace him?
Well, there'll be somebody that says, give me that shot.
Well, you can find somebody, but this guy right now has proven that he is, an outstanding young manager, has gotten a young team full of rookies to respond.
A chopper, tough play for Belliard, and not in time. And a base hit.
You see that speed once again.
The only thing I would say, Al, is that, and I agree with you on the Chicago situation, it doesn't look like they're going to turn that thing around anytime soon, as Belliard made this close. Just imagine being the guy that wins.
Well,
in
yeah,
Chicago.
but I mean, first of all,
and if they give him a long leash to try to, see it through with some of those young players, he's from there. He went to Northwestern.
no, and maybe down the road he gets that opportunity. But I'm talking about Jeffrey Loria.
Gotcha.
He builds
His
his
perspective.
relationship. He builds his relationship back with Joe Girardi, and he's quietly trying to do that. I mean, he's a fool to get rid of Joe Girardi.
It's Dan Ugla. Girardi was a Yankees bench coach for Joe Torre. He also did a little television for the Yankees after his playing career was done, which was just back in 2003. He got that right away. You have to be very well respected to get a job that quickly and well thought of to just finish up your playing career, and then 2 seasons removed, you're managing a major league club.
And that's why I'm saying, and now he's proven that he can handle the job and excel at it and take a team that everybody said was probably the worst or second worst team in all of baseball during spring training, and has made it very competitive.
Comes a 1-0 pitch.
So granted, you could find a manager, but you've got a proven winner right out of the bat. Right out of the box, brand new, unwrap that Christmas present. And I'm not too sure when he took the job, he realized there was going to be a fire sale, but he did not. He took the company road, he took the high road. He probably was disappointed inside, but he didn't trash anybody. He sit there and said, oh yeah, I knew about this. And now look at how he's taken this young team and got them to respond after a horrible start.
Looks like he still could be playing.
Well, Joe said last night he has a half ounce of body fat.
Is that right?
Yeah, half ounce.
Here comes a 1-0 pitch to Ugla, who is 0 for 2. Well, watching here with Jeff Suppan is something that Dave McKay has talked about time and again, neutralizing, or at least attempting to neutralize the running game with long looks into the catcher, holding the ball time and again. They have pitched out, and it worked earlier. That was with Hanley Ramirez, but on 2-0 you won't do that. Runner is not going, and it's a foul ball, looks like. 2-1.
He's got the bat on sort of a check swing, or Ugla tried to stop it.
Those base stealers are trying to go on timing, get a little rhythm going, watching the pitcher, and it's tough to do that as Suppan is buried up his times to the plate.
Well, we know Carlos has speed, but he's not a base stealer, as he's stolen 13 and caught 10 times.
This is normally the spot that we see Miguel Cabrera. Not tonight. Uggla moves down to the third spot in the lineup. Big difference. Two balls and a strike. See that young player, Dan Uggla, very aggressive, off-speed pitch, and he was out in front. This is what you were talking about earlier.
Sure. You know, still have to locate, but most of them are all geared for the fastball. Change speeds on them, and that changeup's an excellent pitch for young hitters.
St. Louis and Ryan Howard with another home run, 49th home run. The top of the fourth tonight, upper deck at RFK, and that sets the Phillies franchise record for home runs in a season, which was previously held by Mike Schmidt. And Ryan Howard, home runs in 6 of his last 8 games, and now his RBI total is at 128. Runner is going, and Molina, oh, they had him. It looked like Belliard had the tag there as the ball got away. It was a breaking ball, and Yadier had him.
Belliard just couldn't put the, he couldn't close down on the glove hand and allowed the ball. Another reason why you slide feet first, because many times you can kick that ball out of the glove. So,
well, that was a backhanded play, a curveball. He got a good jump, and he still got him. Hold on to the tag.
Sort of.
Runner in scoring position and a ball outside, and gets away from Yadier, and the runner will advance to third. First and third with one out. We were spoiled when Mike Matheny was here. I'm sure you would say it, Al, the best you've seen probably blocking pitches.
Absolutely. Tries to slide over there and get in front of it, didn't do so, and kind of deflected off his body just far enough for advancement on ball 4, and so I'm sure it scored a wild pitch. It was in the dirt.
Back to Ryan Howard momentarily. Phillies lead at 4-2. That's in the 9th. They might win the wild card.
You know what? The Marlins are going to have a lot to say about it, because Phillies and the Marlins play 9 more times, so they could knock each other out of it. And it seems like the Phillies have had a tough time in Marlins history, or recently, beating the Fish.
If the Phillies get in, Ryan Howard's got to be, I think, a favorite even in front of Pujols to get the MVP. Still a month to go, but at this point, Ryan Howard with 49 home runs, that's 10 ahead of Albert.
Well, and he also has more RBIs.
And almost 20 more RBIs. He's got 19 more.
And his average is not near Albert, but it's still very respectable.
Still a month to go, though.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Willingham. Another pitch in the dirt, blocked by Molina. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Willingham is 2 for 2 tonight.
It's gone out to right field, and you see the gap in right center. Last time he got the base hit to right field.
And time is called.
Well, Willingham has 20 home runs, Uggla 21. That's the first time in National League history that rookies, 2 rookies on the same team, have had 20 or more home runs. It's happened 6 times in the National League. Excuse me, in the American League.
Ground ball. Can they turn 2? Rolling. Belliard. Double play. 5-4-3 double play. Midway through the 5th, and we're tied 1-1. Fastball to Jeff Suppan. Suppan, Preston Wilson, so Taguchi for the Cardinals. They're tied up 1-1 here in the bottom of the 5th. Five hits tonight for St. Louis. The ball taken outside by Jeff Suppan. Jose Oquendo with a nice play. He was the utility player voted on to the Old Busch Stadium all-time team.
Yep.
Secret weapon. Talked at length with him about managing in the World Baseball Classic, and he'd like to do it again. Like to get a chance in the major leagues, obviously, but some things he would tweak, as he felt that at times the pitchers were way ahead of the hitters. That was in most cases, but not in this guy's case. Dontrelle Willis, as he struggled. 2 strikeouts for Dontrelle, and here's Preston Wilson, who's 2 for 2. One of the reasons the Cardinals brought Preston Wilson to St. Louis, a need obviously in the outfield, but signed to be a very strong bat against left-handed pitching.
He hit over 300 against left-handed pitching. And you know, the nice thing about him, he's had 7 RBIs in 10 games with St. Louis. A couple home runs. 5-game hitting streak. 7 for 19 on this streak. And Edmonds. Duncan, you know, I mean, Preston kind of gives you a little shot in the arm because, you know, like you say, he strikes out a bunch, but if you make mistakes, he can really do some damage.
Backhanded by Helms. He's had a couple of good plays tonight. Long throw over to Jacobs. 2 outs. You too can start smart at a St. Louis community college. They have 3 campuses here in St. Louis. Registration for fall classes still going on at stlcc.edu to get a smart start on your education. 2 outs. Here's Taguchi. Nobody on. And so pulls it fair past the third baseman. And Taguchi is thinking too. Throw in from Willingham is going to hold up So Taguchi at first base.
How about 2 outs? He extends the inning to Albert Pujols, and you still, even with Albert coming up, you think about going to 2, but it sure makes it a lot easier when the left fielder gets over there and gets it back in the infield quickly. And then you go, oh, that's right, Albert's up, you know, so it's not bad. I stayed at first. Albert's 0 for 2. Albert's got some real big fans out there, and Wilma and Mike White celebrating their 71st wedding anniversary tonight. 71st wedding anniversary. And Wilma, I obviously, you know, she loves Mike dearly, but she also is crazy, absolutely crazy about Albert Pujols. Happy anniversary. 71. You and I won't live to be 71.
No.
A few years back, I would have said our ages combined, but we're already past that.
I appreciate all the positive feelings up here in the booth tonight, Al.
Well, I doubted when I played. I doubted I'd live to be 30. My quality of life. And stop. Talked about it last night. Albert been trying to keep that foot from stretching out and getting under balls. There's a, didn't see what he did, but I'll guarantee you the way he hit that ball, he had to just kind of pick up the heel and put it right back down. Let's see what he does on it. No, he goes out there. What they're trying to get him to avoid doing is, is moving it, stretching out, and then rotating. He did it that time and pulled it foul.
2-1 the count on Albert Pujols. A check swing held up. See that, you worry about Albert's side. It hasn't really been a problem, but sometimes that's how these hitters will get hurt, checking their swings.
Oh, so strong, and as Whitey said a few years ago, to the delight of the Beef Council or Pork Association, that the players need, instead of working out so much, you need a little more beer and a little more red meat. So we've subscribed to that theory.
Sometimes I wonder where you get these things.
Oh, that's true.
How does that just pop in your head?
Well, the first time I ever remember that, we've heard about a rib cage oblique muscle strain was Willie McGee.
Oblique injury to the Beef Council.
Well, because tomorrow I've already done this feature. I'm teaching people how to.
Now we're going to a feature
barbecue for the for Labor Day, and it was with the help of of the Pork Council. So there's a history to this game. And Whitey got all kinds of beef and everything from the Beef Council when he made that statement. He'd eat more red meat and drink more beer. Plus, Anheuser-Busch was already supplying him with the beer. There's a history to
you keep
this
things
game.
Interesting. I got to tell you that.
At least you're listening.
Well, I am listening.
We know Joe's at home listening too.
Joe's shaking his head.
Yeah, in agreement.
He's saying better you than me, Dan. All right, here's Scott Rowland with 2 outs and runners at first and second. Joe's probably huddled up in his study, going through every team, every scouting report. He is going to be a busy man this fall.
No, that's later. He's watching Cardinal baseball right now. Full concentration.
I bet Joe is probably not doing either. He's probably on a lit green practicing putts. Working on his golf swing. 2-0.
I asked him last night. I said, what are you doing tomorrow night? He said, I'll be watching you and Dan.
Well, he lied.
Joe Buck? No way. He's watching Cardinal baseball. And he's going to watch Scott Rowland on this 2-0 pitch get a base hit and give the Cardinals the lead.
Ground ball to Helms. Force play at second. They get Pujols. Cardinals strand 2. Chris Carpenter and Zach Duke tomorrow night. Jeff Weaver and Sean Chacon, the former Yankee, and Rocky on Saturday. Cardinals undecided about Sunday. Ian Snell will get the start for Pittsburgh. Tony said don't ask about players that aren't going to be participating in last night's game or tonight's game. So yet to be determined the starter on Sunday.
They don't have to ask, we'll just say it.
Our guess would be Al
Anthony Reyes.
All right. He is scheduled to pitch tomorrow night in the minor leagues. And time is called.
Shocked if we would make that start. And barring a trade, if they don't make a trade for a pitcher and he doesn't, and he makes that start tomorrow night, I would be really, really shocked.
Liner over Miles, and Taguchi gets it back in. It's a base hit for Mike Jacobs, his first tonight. He's 1 for 3.
A lot of little talent to these offensive players, and fun to watch them come together. Low ball hitters, usually from the left side, and he just demonstrated that. Stayed with the pitch out away from him, drove it the opposite field. Helms has been impressive in this series. He's played good defensively, and he's swung the bat well.
Helms tonight with a base hit. He also struck out his first time up. Here comes a 1-0 pitch by Suppan. Ground ball left side. Chance at a double play. That's one. That's two. 6-4-3 double play, and that's the second double play the Cardinals have turned this evening. The other one was a big one to end the top of the fifth.
Yeah, it's two double plays in the last three batters. But Miles gets to it, got a high hop and a perfect feed, chest high to Belliard. Kind of eludes the runner coming in, had enough time, gets out of the way of the slide, and completes the throw to first for the double play. Pitcher's best friend.
Brings in Borchert. Fouled straight back and a good cut.
It's the 96th pitch of the evening for Suppan. Well, many times we look at him as a 6-inning pitcher. 1-1 game, he might, it's a little cool weather, he might stay out there a little longer.
No balls, 2 strikes on Borchert. One and two. Cardinals posted their 70th win last night. Swing and a miss, a strikeout. And for Jeff Suppan, it's strikeout number 5. Cardinals have Encarnacion, Belliard, and Miles coming up. 1-1 game here at Busch. Dix rolls in here at the new Busch Stadium. Juan Encarnacion will lead it off. Encarnacion, the center fielder tonight, has scored a run, the only run for St. Louis. We're tied up at 1-1. Goes back in the 4th. Juan here, and then Belliard and Miles. Marlins' lone run came on a solo home run back in the 1st. Helms stays with it, 1 away. Cardinal Baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Check out Jack in the Box late night. If you're up, Jack's up. By your local St. Louis Chrysler Jeep dealers. And by U.S. Cellular. We connect with you. And here's Belliard. Strike at the knees to Ronnie, who's turned a couple of double plays at second base. The real key one was back in the 5th, inning-ending double play. Prevented a run from scoring as Willis has really picked up the pace.
Sometimes hitters will kind of step out, try to slow him down, get him off the pace he wants to be on.
Strikeout of Ronnie Belliard. Carved him up. 3 on the night for Dontrell. Coming up after the game, it's the Busch Light Midwest Sports Report. You can send a question to MWSR@foxsports.net. The experts will have answers for you. It's guaranteed to have a question about the future of Rick Ankiel on the Busch Light Midwest Sports Report. Someone will call in and ask about Rick Ankiel. Here's Miles pushing one foul. Tonight's hot pitch of the game brought to you by Hardee's. Jeff Suppan against Joe Borchert. This ended the top of the 6th. Suppan has 5 tonight.
Good breaking ball there for his 5th strikeout. Dontrelle has 3 Cardinals.
Miles with the only RBI this evening, and he pulls 1 foul. Willis trying to have an efficient inning. Dontrelle is due up second for the Marlins in the top of the 7th. Suppan is at 99 pitches and Willis at 95. His rookie season, they rode him to the World Series. Josh Beckett and A.J. Burnett, Carl Pavano. Ground ball hit to the second baseman, handled easily by Uggla, and the Cardinals go 1-2-3. Trainer, Willis, and Hanley Ramirez coming up for Girardi's club, and we're tied up at 1-1. This state baseball history brought to you by Schnucks, and we continue our theme with home runs in your debut. Gary Gaetti hits his 239th career home run, and the homer makes Gaetti the all-time home run leader for players who homered in their first at bat. That happened back in 1993. Dave McKay also homered in his first at bat.
Hoyt Wilhelm is a great trivia question. What Hall of Famer hit a home run in his first at bat and never hit another?
Gene Lamont is also on that list. Not the one that you speak of. Gene Steckschulte, that's right.
How about Adam Wainwright?
Adam Wainwright, another. He did that in San Francisco.
Montefusco? John Montefusco?
Con Molina. What's going through the mind of Mike Rose sitting in that Cardinal dugout? He is the backup catcher tonight.
Well, Mike Rose, by the way, is 30 years of age and has played about, I think it's 17 games in the big leagues between Oakland and the Dodgers. There's Gary Bennett, who had a rough night, but feeling a little better with that lower back strain, hoping for more improvement tomorrow.
It's a tough injury, the way that he's swinging the bat.
Yeah. Well, but, you know, Gary is a consummate professional, and he will tell you that, you know, I'm just trying to fill in until Molina, you know, was going to take over. And because of his injury, he was at least a day sooner. Talked to Rex Hudler today. You saw Bennett was talking to Weaver, and he said he's a Weaver believer.
Rex is the color analyst for the Angels.
There's Mike Rose.
The curveball is pulled foul. Trainer tonight has walked and he is grounded out. He's 0 for 1. Mentioned that the Yankees won today 6-4 as Bonderman took the loss. Rivera the save, number 33. A-Rod 3 for 4 with a couple of doubles.
Ooh, Washington tied that game up against the Phillies, and they're playing in the 10th now.
Minnesota over Kansas City, that's a final. Santana the winner, 16-5. And it's gone to, now it's a final. Tampa Bay comes back to beat the White Sox 5-3. Jammed up, popped it up behind home plate. Molina will give it a look, and it's into the green seats. So you were sitting in the green seats the other night, huh?
I was sitting in Jerry Clinton's green seats the other afternoon with Jerry.
It was Saturday, I guess.
Saturday.
Just a high roller, that's all you are.
No, I'm just no high rollers.
Just a high roller, Al.
Got good friends.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And time is called. Two pitch, almost hit him. So Dontrelle has moved to the on-deck circle. He is due up second. He is close to 100 pitches thrown tonight. And Suppan is well over 100 now.
The one thing, Dontrelle has 3 complete games. This has to be a perfect night to pitch.
Sharply hit. Rowland can stay with it. Long throw and got him. Boy, that was a rocket off the bat of Matt Trainer.
Good play by Scott. A little smile after there. He made 2 errors. How rare is that in yesterday's ball game? Ball up, hammered, and as you said, stays with it and throws him out. Better the Gold Glover than us. Ooh.
Here's Dontrell Willis.
Hit so hard you couldn't play it to the side.
Thinking the same thing. No chance to move out of the way. And a strike to Dontrell. Suppan has struck out 5 tonight, and he's gotten Willis a couple of times. How is Jerry Clinton doing?
Outstanding.
Serve on a board with him. Asthma and Allergy Foundation. Of course, Jerry is very involved in the Backstoppers. Great cause. Chopped off the plate. Suppan will get it. Backs up. High throw. Out.
Nice play at both ends.
Tough for Suppan to get his balance in. Pujols with his hat off and slowly walking back to his position.
You see kind of the off-balance throw, the high throw. He stretches out as much as possible, and the Cardinals might have catch a break there.
Al, it's a play like that. I agree. He may have been saved.
That's how you hurt yourself.
Right.
You know, stretching out. That's more likely to pull a rib cage muscle than sometimes swinging.
Try to sneak in our singular wireless question. 2 outs. What is the most exciting play in baseball? Had some votes for the check swing, but it goes to the grand slam. Crowd tonight of 40,989.
There's some seats remaining for tomorrow night's game. And then when you look at when Houston is in town, there's seats for that September 11th, 12th, and 13th. Not often do we say that, but 700 tickets, Loge box and terrace box for tomorrow. And then the rest of the series, there's the standing room or first pitch tickets. And you can always contact the Prime Seat Club to find at stlcardinals.com to find season ticket holder seats that are put back into circulation.
Cardinals trying to squeeze out one more out from Jeff Suppan. Nobody up in their bullpen on either side. Top of the order, Hanley Ramirez. 4th time that he has faced Soup. Lined out, popped out, and walked. Also was caught stealing. So he pitched out, guessed correctly, back in the 3rd.
Jeff's done a good job of neutralizing this young man who has got a wealth of talent. And you bet they're trying to just kind of watching that pitch count that is up to 114 before this delivery.
Hit out of play.
Much cooler temperatures, so it's not bad for Jeff. 1st inning and 5th inning through the most pitches.
Pungo Award tomorrow. You ready to roll?
Oh yeah.
3-2 pitch. Oh, Suppan obviously wanted that. Doesn't get it. 2-out walk.
4th walk. Very uncharacteristic for Soup to walk that many.
Amazega with a solo home run back in the 1st. Reached on an error in the 3rd. Singled, stole a base in the 5th. It's been busy.
Been on base every plate appearance. And his great speed. He's shown the combination of speed and power, but that home run was only his 3rd of the season.
Cardinals will have Molina, pinch hitter, and Wilson coming up. strike at the knees.
Stirring in the bullpen, and it's soon to be activity.
Who do the Cardinals go to in the bullpen tonight? Wainwright was used last night. And it's going to be Braden Looper who's getting loose. A little bigger lead this time by Hanley Ramirez at first. He's back safely.
Looper pitched an inning last night.
Jeff Suppan, as we told you before, has been the Cardinals' second best starter here in the second half. The runner is going. Molina guns to second. Safe. Boy, great play by Miles on a tough pick just to make that close, and the go-ahead run now in scoring position.
Nice short hop here, and Miles does a good job to try and get that tag back down, but the lead leg kind of goes right through the bag, never touched the bag, and it's his back leg that ends up on it. So Ramirez's 43rd steal. He's going to try and break Chucky Carr's record.
Ground ball, it's fair. Pujols a race to the bag, and Albert got there in time. Don't get hurt, Albert. Time to stretch here in St. Louis as Suppan gets 7 innings of work tonight. Cardinals have Molina, a pinch hitter, and Wilson coming up. It's 1-1. Tonight's merchandise winner in the Hyundai long drive inning sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run, Sue qualifies for the Hyundai Sonata drawing coming up in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. That drawing's got to be coming up just around the corner.
Don't remind me. They haven't told me yet. Usually about the middle of the month.
That's your gig, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm just always giving away cards.
All of a sudden, Al Hrabosky turns into a Bob Barker. Putting smiles on everybody's faces.
Not everybody.
That's right. There's some losers that go. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, Al.
They're not losers. They're winners, but they just don't get the ultimate prize.
Always the optimist. You are correct again, Al. No balls and 2 strikes on Molina.
Phillies win that game in extra innings against Washington. So Vizcaino at the on-deck circle.
Molina's 0 for 2. He flied to a deep center field. Last time up to the track at center. Hit it close to 400 feet. Defensive replacement last night. First action in 5 games. That right elbow discomfort. And the out of here pops it up. Handled by Jacobs, and that's out number 1. The out of here is 0 for 3, and that closes the book on Suppan as Dontrelle Willis at 100 pitches. Suppan well over 100, and Jose Vizcaino will be the pinch hitter. Good outing by Suppan, 7 innings and 1 run on that solo home run by Amezega back in the first.
Sure would be nice to see if Looper could be coming in to get a hold and give a win to Suppan with at least 1 run here this spring.
15 years plus in the major leagues for Vizcaino, playing on his 8th team. Hit .210 this season in 64 games with the Giants. Cardinal debut, he homered at Shea Stadium.
He's got 2 home runs, and both of them have come at Shea Stadium.
I know Tony flirted with the idea of maybe even playing Ronnie Belliard at shortstop to go along with Aaron Miles. Now they can scrap that idea with Vizcaino in uniform. Belliard had done that in winter ball, and actually Jose Oquendo had talked to Ronnie about it. And Belliard's a guy that can play second, but in winter ball he'll play shortstop and third. 2-2 the count. It's got to be driving Eckstein just nuts down there watching.
He's that kind of go-go type player that Doesn't like to sit.
Strikeout number 4 tonight for Dontrell Willis. Pitch by pitch feature brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers.
Just pretty much go after him with a fastball, and he'll change locations with it. That one's up. First one's down, up, over the middle of the plate. Trying to work down and away. Doesn't get the call. Back inside, and see you later.
Rams are taking it on the chin. 29-9 against another Florida team.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry.
Al, I'm not concerned.
They don't want to show too much. They don't want to show Denver what they have or what their game plan is. Those are the words of Joe Buck.
Two balls and no strikes on Preston Wilson. He's had a good night, 2 for 3. Grounder hit to short. Ramirez to his left, and Dontrell Willis is through 7 with just 1 run allowed. 1-1, 8th inning coming up. High school students, guidance counselors. The Cardinals are hosting the 2nd annual Career Day Wednesday, September 13th. Houston in town. And prior to that game, a program featuring Cardinal executives and front office personnel giving tips and details on careers in sports will take place, and the Cardinals can be reached at 345-9500 to find out more. Braden Looper takes over for Jeff Suppan. Start call to the bullpen brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers. Numbers on Looper, a record of 7-1. This will be his 58th appearance.
7 wins are a career high and the most by a Cards reliever since Tavares. Julian in 2004. A lot of run last night, which ended his 6-game scoreless streak. And Braden is scored upon in 39 of his 54 games.
Looper comes in. He'll face 3, 4, and 5 in the lineup for the Marlins. Ugla, Willingham, and Jacobs. Well pitched on both ends from Dontrell Willis and Jeff Suppan. First pitch is strike at 91 miles an hour.
It's been a long time since the Cardinals have had such a high draft pick. Looper was the #1 pick by the Cardinals, but 3rd overall back in '96, and he made his debut with St. Louis in '98.
How about Detroit? They've got the best record in baseball, and their recent draft choice, which was number either 4 or 5 overall, made his major league debut just the other night at Yankee Stadium.
Last night, scoreless inning, and of course that was part of his contract that he had to be called up before September, I think it was. And sometimes, you know,
well, you're just asking for trouble if you do that.
Well,
aren't you?
yeah, you know, we've seen guys in the past that it sounds good to get to the big leagues, but if you're not ready, at least he was a college pitcher. But sometimes high school picks, you know, get to the big leagues before they're ready, and they, you know, they burn up options, but they end up hurting and retarding their career.
Todd Van Poppel.
Yeah, but he was a college pick, and so I'm sure he'll be fine.
Strikeout here for Looper.
Good slider, and got him to Ugla to commit.
Suppan goes 7 innings, allows 6 hits and 1 run. Willingham grounded into a key double play back in the 5th to end that inning. Runners at 1st and 3rd. The double play was started by Scott Rowland and the turn by Belliard and over to Pujols. Prior to that, he was 2 for 2 with a couple of singles.
San Diego idle, Philadelphia winning tonight. Now the Phillies and Padres are tied atop the wild card race.
These two have hooked up 1 time, and it was a home run for Willingham earlier this year. Two 2-0 the count. 3-0. Willingham, a 17th round pick back in 2000, 4 straight pitches, and that's ball 4. Anxious moments for both these guys, Joe Girardi and Tony La Russa. Late in the ball game, tied up 1-1.
And the last thing you want to see late in the ball game or extra innings is walks. Leadoff walks will kill you, but there is one out.
Mike Jacobs is 1 for 3. His fly to left, struck out in the 4th and singled in the 6th. Cardinals saw the Marlins very aggressive running the bases against Jeff Suppan, even with Molina behind the plate.
A year ago, before he had the surgery, Looper, and he pitched all last year, 28 saves for the Mets with a bad shoulder. But a lot of people said he couldn't get inside on the left-handed hitters. Still has trouble with him, but now it's much easier for him to make pitches on both sides of the plate after his shoulder is repaired.
1 ball, 1 strike. Looper, of course, a former Florida Marlin. Went there in '99 when the Cardinals picked up Renteria. 5 years with the Marlins, 2 with New York, and now back in St. Louis. See where Scott Rolen is well off the line. Pujols holding it first, and there's a strike. Outfield is very deep. One and 2 the count on Jacobs.
Fastball
In just enough.
only out to talk with Looper, maybe. So be careful, that pitch down and in had enough on it that Jacobs didn't get around on it. Remember, he has terrific power. Just 17 home runs, but you know, he came over here with a reputation and throughout the minor leagues showed power. Fastball away.
And here comes a 1-2 pitch from Looper. 2-2. Looper's best season with Florida was back in '03 when they won the World Championship. He had 28 saves that year. Was 6-4. 2 seasons in New York, he had 29 saves and then 28 a year ago.
Fastball away again.
2-2 pitch. Got him on the outside corner. Good pitch by Looper. His second strikeout in the inning.
See him out there threading the needle, and good pitch. Only he doesn't move a muscle. Looper's right in position to be the vulture again. He's got that career high 7 wins, and a lot of times he'll come in, do the job for an inning, get in there, tie game, team gets him a run, he finishes it off.
Here's Wes Helms, and Helms tonight has grounded into a double play started by the shortstop Miles. He singled in the 4th and struck out in the 2nd. Made some nice plays at third base tonight too. He rips one out to left. Willingham will stop at second base, so the go-ahead run is in scoring position. First hit allowed by Looper. Brings in Borchert.
Has to play right in front of him. Sees that Taguchi clearly fields it, cleanly gets it, and gets it back in. So no first to third.
Borchert tonight is 0 for 3.
You know, I think Looks like Flores is going to start getting loose. You look at a guy like Borchard, switch hitter, but clearly is a better hitter from the left side than he is a right side. So we'll see if they kind of do a few things to try and stall and let Flores get loose.
Got to wonder about the availability of Cabrera too. He's on their bench.
Good point. Yeah, he wasn't able to start, or he didn't start, but that's a pretty exciting player to bring up in a game-winning situation as a pinch hitter.
2 outs, runners at first and second. 1-1 game here in the top of the 8th. Cardinals looking ahead. We'll have Sho Taguchi, Albert Pujols, and Roland coming up. So the heart of the order.
And of course, Borchard, you know, if they brought in a left-hander, even though he's a switch hitter, I'm sure they would use a pinch hitter because, you know, this is the first of 3 that he has started.
1 ball, 1 strike. Borchard, 229 against left-handed pitching. And surprisingly, right-handed pitching, 205.
That's right.
One ball, 1 strike. Molina wants it on the outside portion of the plate. Two-one pitch. 3-1. The crowd a bit restless. Matt Trainer is on deck.
Big long swing. You could throw fastballs by him, but if you make a mistake and he catches it. No, he hadn't had a lot of bats and only 7 home runs. He is strong.
And that's ball 4. He walked him. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 2 walks, a single, bases loaded. They're going to pull back Trainer here in this spot.
They're bringing their catcher Olivo probably from the outfield, from the bullpen. He's racing in. Will probably pinch hit here. So you got a worn out guy by the time he's out of breath, by the time he gets to the plate.
They have got Ross, Cabrera, Hermida, and Abercrombie on the bench.
So Michael Olivo is again, and here he's going to go down there and stall even more. Home plate umpire doesn't like that at all.
I believe that reliever just sitting there out in the mound. Crowd is trying to figure out what's going on.
Umpire could. If he felt like he waited too long, he could order the pitcher to pitch, and every throw would be an automatic strike with no batter in the batter's box.
Dave Duncan will come out, give a quick scout report on Olivo. And Looper just wants to pitch. Right-hander is getting loose in the bullpen for the Marlins.
Sergio Mitre,
Sure, one of the things that was said to Looper that Olivo has done, he's got 10 home runs on first pitches this season.
Yeah, I noticed that. So don't go out there and just groove one.
.452 average with the bases loaded. 1 grand slam in his career.
He's 0 for his last 15.
Swing and a miss.
You know, Dan, you know, when you got a guy that loves to swing at the first pitch. Now that was a, you know, an off-speed pitch, a splitter there, which is a great pitch for him. But a lot of times you throw a first pitch fastball to a first pitch fastball hitter, but you just make sure it's off the plate.
And strike 2.
As I said, you know, you run in from the bullpen, you hustle down and get your bat and get your gloves, you get ready, and still trying to catch your breath. You're 0 for 15, and then you see 2 nasty splitters.
Bases loaded. 0-2 pitch. Molina liked it. He motions back to Looper.
Well, you know what he liked about it was he was clearly set up outside, and he just didn't want him to miss his target and throw a mistake over the middle of the plate. Back inside. Jams.
1-2 is hit slowly, rolling. Long throw, can't make it.
Makes
and the Marlins have it on top at 2-1.
That was a good pitch. Jams him, but he nubs it up the line, and when a Gold Glover like Scott Rowland can't recover, it's just a swinging perfect bunt. The do factor was there when you're 0 for 15. Comes in here, jams him, watch this pitch. And just a little nubber. It's a catcher running here, but Scott Rowland playing all the way back, and he beats out. Gets a splitter there. Then he repeats it again. Then he's off the plate, just making sure. Then he jams him with a fastball in, and bad luck.
The Cardinals cannot come back and tie it up or win this game. Looper can look back at 2 walks in the inning.
I should look back at the 2 walks even if he got out of the inning.
Infield hit. Infield hit the difference so far. There's Cody Ross, pinch hitter. And again, the Cardinals have the part of their lineup coming up. Under 8 pitches tonight for Dontrell Willis. 66 were strikes. No balls, 2 strikes on Ross.
Mitre warming up. He was acquired in the trade that sent Juan Pierre to the Cubbies. They got 3 pitchers. Last night's starter and a lefty reliever and Mitre.
Base is still loaded. Here comes an 0-2 pitch. Got to burn you as a pitcher. 1, you walk 2. The bases are loaded, and the difference in this game could be an infield hit on a good pitch.
You'd rather have, you know, a ball off the wall than to have just a bleeder.
30 pitches in the inning for Braden Looper. The 1-2. 2-2. The right-hander getting loose in the Cardinal bullpen.
Sosa along with Flores. And right now, you know, you have to, as a pitcher, you want to get him out on this pitch. You don't want to run it full.
And he did. Strike on the outside corner. Coming up for the Cardinals, trailing now 2-1. Taguchi, Pujols, and Rowland.
Call to the bullpen is brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers. Well, the Marlins take a lead, and they bring in Sergio
Mitre for his 15th game. He's 1-4. He split some time between the bullpen and the rotation. Lefties have pounded on him. So you'll see Duncan pinch hit for Taguchi, as lefties have hit .333, 20 for 60, and righties just a .216 average.
So some pop coming up in this lineup for the Cardinals. Chris Duncan, Albert Pujols, Scott Rolen against Mitre. And Olivo stays in the game. He'll be the catcher. And his RBI infield hit could prove to be the difference tonight. Nice round of applause for Chris Duncan, quickly becoming a fan favorite. Duncan to lead it off, bottom of the 8th, 2-1 Florida. Taguchi productive in this spot tonight. He was 2 for 3. First pitch to Duncan. This game might be just tied on one swing. Out to deep right. Back. We're tied. Duncan ties it up. It's 2-2.
Trouble with left-handers, and out of way, gets the arms extended, and it's the reason why we enjoy watching, because anytime he's in that batter's box, the raw power that he can hit a home run, his 15th home run, and these fans want a curtain call. I know he's probably a little reluctant to do it, and he hasn't done it yet.
As Pujols looks, the pitch on the outside corner.
I was standing at the batting cage talking with Joe Girardi, and Dave Duncan came over to say hello to Girardi, and Joe said, "I got to ask you, Dave, what's it like having your son on the team with you?" He goes, "Well, it's pretty exciting, but sometimes, you know, you just kind of have to lay back." And then I reminded Dave that Chris's mother, you know, sit there and said last year, she told me, "I wish he was out of the organization," because people thought nepotism, but no longer. As you see, the proud papa says pretty exciting, but he tries to hold back emotions. But, you know, there is a father inside there too. But at one time, everybody said, "Oh, he's here because of Dave, nepotism." And, you know, he's battled that, but what a great kid he is, and he's showing what a great talent now.
15 home runs for Duncan this season. Third career pinch hit home run. Upstairs to Albert Pujols. The second time that Duncan has done that this season. For the Cardinals overall, it's a 6th pinch hit home run. Chris Duncan ties it up at 2-2.
And now Izzy has joined Sosa in the bullpen. So if the Cardinals take the lead, it'll be Izzy to close it out. If it remains a tie game, Sosa will come in.
Rolen is 1 for 6 against Mitre.
And it's the pitching coach out to talk to Mitre. Nobody warming up the Marlins bullpen. And you see the two right-handers for the Cards. Mitre, you know, has had shoulder inflammation. He's been on the disabled list. He's held opponents scoreless prior to tonight in 6 relief appearances, but he was 1-4 with an ERA and 4.89 in 7 starts this year for them.
Pujols could swipe a bag. Got a big lead at first. Sometimes you think about that big slugger and you don't realize that Pujols is one of the better base runners in the game of baseball.
He has 5 steals and 6 attempts. He was successful the first 5 times.
He was the team leader a year ago. Pitch on the outside corner to Scott Rowland.
You would really have to pick a time when you knew that, or the times fit into the realm where they knew that he could get down there at a real high percentage that he'd be successful with any kind of jump. You're playing at home. You got your second best RBI man at the plate.
Two and one. Chris Duncan has done a tremendous job this season. 428 feet, the distance of that home run. You see what Rowland has done this year. I think you have to give Tony La Russa a little credit too in putting him in spots to succeed. One of the things that you look at is how he's done against lefties, and the fact that Chris Duncan is hitting in front of Albert Pujols. I mean, he just really hasn't been overexposed. He's eased him into this role, and he has taken that role and run with it.
Well, because he's had so much success, the idea initially was that you get a lot of fastballs, but because of his success and he's second best average to nationally or rookies pick. Oh my goodness!
Almost picked off, and now Pujols is on his way to second base. Pujols is on his way to third base, and the go-ahead run is over at third on a misplay by the Marlins defense.
Well, they had him picked off dead to rights. He took an extra step towards second, and pitcher Mitre spun him
through. 2 steps.
He was picked off right there, and the throw a little bit wide. Jacobs couldn't handle it, and you know that Albert, a good base runner, obsessed. Caught, he would have been out by plenty, but look at how quickly he recovers. And not only does he get to second, he goes on over to third.
What a break for the Cardinals.
It's a 3-1 count. We'll see if they even pitch to Scott Rowland. But, Oquendo's over there reminding them, hey, you're over here visiting me, but you should have been out.
Infield is drawn in. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. The numbers here for Scott Rowland. Duncan has tied it up with a pinch hit home run. His 15th on the year. Rowland could put the Cardinals on top. Still nobody out. 3-1 pitch on its way, and Rowland delivers. Base hit into right, and the Cardinals have the lead. It's 3-2.
That is such a nice piece of hitting by not, grinding the bat into sawdust, not trying to complicate the situation and try to swing, looking for the sacrifice fly. Just relax. The pitcher's in trouble, and just a pitch out away from him, just a nice controlled swing, slicing the ball to right field for the RBI, and the Cardinals 3-2 lead. 81st RBI for Scott. And scoring Albert, he's closing in on a 100-run score.
Encarnacion backs away from a breaking ball. You brought up a point that I think we need to address here with Duncan. Why is he seeing a fastball at any point in time? I mean, if anything, he has proven that he can absolutely smoke a fastball, and he gets a fastball on the first pitch.
Well, you're trying to get ahead. You're sitting there thinking down the way, he's not going to be able to do much with it. And maybe they weren't quite believers in his power. You would think after the spring he had, as the Marlins and Cardinals share the Jupiter complex together, they saw enough of Chris Duncan this spring.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Encarnacion down the third base line, off the glove of the third baseman, takes an odd hop, and they're going to hold up Scott Rowland at third. Nobody out. Second and third. A lefty is getting loose in the pen for the Marlins. I'm sure that Jose Oquendo flirted with the idea of trying to score Scott Rowland.
Well, I think he thought about it, but with nobody out, he couldn't do that unless he knew that he could absolutely walk home. We'll see how the Marlins want to play it. But here the ball inside, he just turns on it, gets it by the third baseman. He deflected it, then it goes off that side wall. The left fielder has to change direction, come in and retrieve it.
Belliard tonight with a couple of strikeouts. He is also grounded out to third.
Looper in line for the win. And now Joe Girardi will make a pitching change as the second time on the mound, and he calls for the lefty.
So that's going to be it for Sergio Mitre. Cardinals tied up against him. Now they have the lead. It's 3-2. At the ballpark, Union Station, downtown St. Louis, and the Cardinals have a lead of 3-2. You're going to have a championship season. You've got to have players that you don't expect to do much step up, and that player this season undoubtedly Chris Duncan, as he tied it up with a pinch hit home run. Cardinals now lead at 3-2. And a new pitcher in, Taylor Tankersley, a lefty, and he will face Belliard. Belliard has struck out a couple of times tonight, and he's 0 for 3. He's also grounded out to third.
There's another one of their first-round draft picks. This one in the 04 draft.
Infield drawn in. Belliard takes a ball. Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Now, Joe Girardi decided to pitch. You see the numbers on Tankersley to Scott Rowland. And the pitch that he hit was a pretty good pitch. Blowing away, sinking. And that's what an all-star player does. But at 3-1, do you walk him in that spot? You set up a potential double play. And maybe even think about walking Encarnacion. Now, you run the risk of loading him up, but Belliard has struck out twice tonight. Set up the force play anywhere. I would assume he's flirted with the idea.
Well, you think about it, but I think in this case too, you decide not to load him up. He's got a young lefty out here is Mitre. Remember, Mitre was unscored upon in relief prior to tonight.
Belliard out to shallow center field. This may drop, and it will. Cardinals lead it 4-2. And Belliard winds up at second base.
Well, remember, they do not have a center fielder. The young man that's playing out there is a utility infielder. We've noted he plays extremely deep. It cost him in this case. And then not only does the ball fall in front of him, but then he kicked it, which allowed Belliard to get into scoring position. So he couldn't get in there, takes his eye off it, kicks it, and Belliard, alertly watching, goes from first to second. A lot of people were a little shocked as the Marlins have done so many things right, but why they didn't get at least one outfielder, a center fielder, I mean anybody. They got Abercrombie, but they don't trust him, a young player. Now they're going to walk Miles.
Joe Girardi was saying that Game 1 was probably the best game of the season for the Marlins, and they crushed the Cardinals. He's got to look at this 8th as being one of his worst. The misplay with Pujols over at first base, allowing him to move to third. Pinch hit, home run allowed to Duncan. That bloop that should have been caught out in center field. Intentional pass to Miles. Bases will be loaded for Yadier Molina.
It's 4-2 now, and you saw Tony on the phone probably dictating the same scenario we had earlier. Save situation, non-save situation, who pitches.
Encarnacion, Belliard, and Miles aboard. There is nobody out, bases loaded. And Molina could give the Cardinals a nice cushion heading into the 9th.
Spezio on deck.
Still looking for his first career grand slam. Last home run was against Carlos Zambrano. It looked like on an 0-2 pitch, an infield hit might be the game winner for the Marlins. Well, the Cardinals have come back and hit the ball hard. Tied it up with Duncan and some bullets out there against Mitre.
They're showing some, some character. Last night after trailed
by 4 runs. It was only the 3rd time they've come back this season down by 4 more and won a game. Foul territory and a play. Yadier is 0 for 4. Scott Spezio will be the pinch hitter.
Since the All-Star break, these Marlins, don't discount them for coming back. The Marlins, since the All-Star break, have gone 12-1 in the last game of the series.
Spezio is 6 for 30 as a pinch hitter with 1 home run.
That was his first hit as a Cardinal, the home run, and he has 5 career grand slams. He has 3 career pinch hit home runs.
One of the toughest jobs in baseball, to come off the bench and be ready to hit. Late in the game, 8th inning, 4-2 St. Louis. Bases loaded, 1 out.
Tankersley, like I said, was the #1 draft pick who Spezio is facing. He was on Double-A before he got the call up on June the 2nd, and great numbers. 4-1 with a 0.95 with 6 saves and 22 appearances, and he had 40 strikeouts in 28 innings and only allowed 11 hits.
Here comes a 1-1 pitch to Scott Spezio. 2-1. Joe Girardi has asked his young lefty to come into a pretty tough spot.
Been able to handle it. I mean, talking to the Marlins, they said Tankersley has done a real nice job. Burgess has been a nice bridge. He's warming up now for the Marlins.
Here comes a 2-1 pitch to Spezio. Up and in. 3-1. Now all you ask the hitter to be is selective.
Well, that's what he talked about with Scott Rowland. You know, he just got a pretty good pitch, but he wasn't, trying to do too much. He just went with it. Yadier Molina's trying to struggle a little bit right now. He tried to do too much and popped it up in the infield in foul territory.
3-1 pitch to Spezio.
Spezio had to take a little walk after he let a fastball right down the middle go by. Regroup time. Going, I'd expect that.
This crowd ready to erupt. Cardinals have played at 3 here in the bottom of the 8th and have a 4-2 lead. Bases loaded. Here comes a 3-2 pitch. Spezio smokes it out to center field. Plenty deep for Encarnacion to tag up, and that makes it 5-2. The Cardinals will bat around here in the bottom of the 8th. Preston Wilson, the 9th man to come to the plate. Preston tonight, the leadoff spot is 2 for 4. RBI number 37 for Spezio. Runners at first and third. Belliard tagged up from second to third.
Duncan on deck. Apparently, Girardi would rather have the lefty face Preston Wilson, who we acquired for left-handed pitching.
And it's back to the lefty. Tankersley has it. Cardinals are through, but a big inning. Trailing 2-1, they get 4 runs. Starts with Duncan, ties it up with his 15th home run. Trying to pick off Albert. He would wind up at third base. Eventually, he comes in to score on the RBI by Rowland. They add 2 more, and it's 5-2. Let's take a look at the game recap, where the Cardinals lead it by the score of 5-2. The top of the 9th is rolled in here at Busch, and this is presented by Jack in the Box. Pitching matchup was a good one tonight with Suppan and Dontrelle Willis. And the Cardinals, after falling behind by the score of 2-1, pick up 4 runs and their half of the 8th. It was highlighted by a pinch hit home run from Duncan, and the Cardinals would add to it. Fun ball game tonight. That's your Jack in the Box recap. 5-2 St. Louis, 9th inning. Rolls in. Here's Isringhausen. And the first pitch is taken for a ball by Hanley Ramirez. Top of the order for the Marlins. Ramirez, Amazagan, and Ugla. We saw Jason Isringhausen last night.
Well, we saw him last night just finish off the 9th inning. He's going to do so here tonight. Looking for his 32nd save. And crowd a little restless as falling behind 2-0, but he'll battle back.
Last time he pitched on back-to-back days, August 19th and August 20th, that was at Chicago. And on the 19th, that was that 5-4 10-inning loss to the Cubs, a blown save and a loss in that game. And then the following day, he picked up his 30th save in a 5-3 win.
Kind of the theme we talked about.
Up
the up and down,
right.
Not only the team, but Izzy himself. This is a guy you definitely want to keep off base. So after falling behind 2-0, he battled back. Here's the cutter. And had a little bite. Good location down and away. So it's the pitch that has been elusive. When it's good, he picks up saves. Times when it's been bad, he's had trouble with it. Fastball down, or it's got to be a strike.
3-2 pitch, and it is hit out to deep left field. Duncan there, 1 away. What's interesting about Jason Isringhausen this season, he's got 9 blown saves, 7 losses, but it's the home runs allowed. It's the most he's allowed since 1996, when he allowed 13. And at that point in his career, he was a starter. And the ironic thing about that stat is that in 2002, Izzy notched 32 saves without allowing a home run.
Right. And his first couple of years, he was very good in that department. But last 2 years, he allowed a total of 9 home runs and 10 this year.
And Al, he became the first to do that in Major League Baseball history with 30 or more saves in a season and to not allow a home run. Earlier this year it was the walks, but home runs have piled up too. 0-2. And you have said it time and again, and Tony La Russa has as well. He may have his ups and downs, but this team goes nowhere, you know, when you talk about the closer situation without Jason Isringhausen.
He's going to get the ball. He's going to get the ball in the 9th inning in a save situation. So Tony believes in him, and history dictates that he'll get the job done. Cardinals all-time save leader. Here's a curveball. I like this pitch.
Here's the 0-2.
Not that one, but he usually will throw the curveball to left-handed batters, and he's got a very good one. One of the things that's happened with the ineffectiveness or the in and out with the cutter is it's, you know, made his other pitches better. He'll be the fastball.
Ground ball. Out number 2. Our play of the game is brought to you by Budweiser. What else? Off the bench. First swing for Duncan of the night on the first pitch that he sees to start the 8th, and we're all tied up at 2-2. The Cardinals add 3 more, and they're an out away from taking 2 of 3 against Florida.
You know, Dan, as a pitcher, when you can put somebody up there with power, one swing, you know, it changes the whole complexion. You put up certain guys, you go, okay, the best they can do is get a base hit off them. But when you got a power guy, it kind of changes the complexion of how you pitch a guy or how mentally you feel about attacking him in the strike zone.
Here comes an 0-1 pitch. Make it strike 2.
A lot of times as a short guy, you only need 2 pitches. But Izzy now, getting a little older, and because he was a starter, he's got 4 pitches he can go to, and he's incorporating more of them now. Here's the curveball.
Pass, Scott rolling it into left, and the game is extended. Full extension over there by Scott Rowland, just out of his reach.
Ball hit real hard, and so Scotty reaches out, dives for it, and just beyond his reach.
Albert Pujols will play behind the runner at first base.
That run means nothing when you're up by 3. You're just looking for one more out.
Fastball and a strike.
Cutter there, but see, he's keeping that ball down, and you aren't going to get hurt there.
That's out of play. Strike 2.
Willingham is. A lot of these Marlins have got pretty good plate discipline. Remember, he's gotten some base hits the opposite field, so see if they go. Yep, I was thinking they might be careful with the cutter. The fastball in.
1-2 pitch from Isringhausen. The game is extended again, and the tying run now comes to the plate in Mike Jacobs. Looked like that Isringhausen left this pitch up.
Now, it was a curveball for the first hit. Here's the fastball, but he doesn't get it in, and that's the difference. So Dave Duncan out to talk. To the glove is kind of going up, but over the middle of the plate.
Now only 4 closers in the history of baseball have allowed more home runs per 9 innings than Isringhausen this season. Minimum 30 saves on this graphic. Now, I'm not saying that that's where this one is going. I just think it's interesting to bring up.
As we bring up the
it's been a tough year for Isringhausen in that department. But on that list, a future Hall of Famer and Trevor Hoffman, Lee Smith, Todd Worrell, and Sean Chacon.
Well, Izzy has 238 saves since 2000. That's third behind Rivera and Padres' Trevor Hoffman, who will end up as the all-time saves leader.
Jacobs tonight, pair of strikeouts. He is single. He is also fly to left. It's been a good ball game tonight.
It has, and Florida Marlins are a handful.
Slowly hit. No one over at first, and the bases are loaded. He'll throw behind, and they got him. That's how the game ends. Unbelievable. Pujols throws over to Rowland, and they get the runner napping over at third. Huh.
Give Rowland some credit to be there. Obviously, Pujols, Izzy doesn't cover first base, and yet they come out smelling like a rose because the game-tying home run by Duncan, and then a lot more of it. Izzy's not there. No play at first. Look at Pujols, how quickly he throws over. Scott Rowland looking for him, plays attack. Where is that base runner going?
Terrible play by Ugla to end it over at third. 5-2 the final tonight. The Cardinals take 2 of 3. Cardinal Baseball produced by Bud Productions. An exclusive presentation of FSN Midwest. What an ending. Pirates and Cardinals tomorrow at 6:30. Stay tuned. Midwest Sports Report is coming up.